How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. On today's episode, we're going to talk about men not wanting a woman with high standards, or that is really, how would I say it, accomplished, right? I don't know if that's a fucking thing, but I guess it is a thing. We're going to talk about potentially a situation where a woman's trying to navigate her uncomfortable feelings. We'll see how far I get into it, if I can get to that. I think I will. And before I do that, obviously I missed this previous week on the podcast. There were some things that went down. I'll kind of give you guys an update and some things that I'm learning about myself that I think a lot of y'all will really relate to in terms of just my life, the direction, and just honestly my relationship in general. So let's just get right into it. So this past week, 2 weeks, right? Because I missed the last week. I did record a podcast for y'all, but I actually just didn't want to release it. And the reason I didn't want to release it is, number one, I just didn't feel it was that strong. But number two, I think I was really in a fucked up mood. So a couple things happened. The previous weekend, right before the last podcast that I did drop, I was doing really good, right? I was living in the moment. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm communicating with long distance. I'm like, hey, let's just see where things go. I do want to see you. That's where I'm at. Get to the weekend, have a really good time, go out. I went to this fucking rave, fucking great time. I'm serious. I really had a great time. I took some Molly and your boy was going in. I was sweating. I was loving it. It was just, me on Molly is like, literally, I say this all the time, and I'm not joking about this. Like, it's me in my most confident form. You're in your best form. It's literally the best. Honestly, it is. I really, and this is going to sound strange, but I'm so serious when I say that I've had the best times of my life, probably, on some points of Molly. And there's a reason for that. The reason is it absolutely fucking spikes your serotonin. Right? So you get all this fucking dopamine in the moment. You're fucking loving it. You're running around. Everything feels great. Everything's amazing. I'm having a bomb ass time. I'm like, life's amazing. I take it back-to-back days, which is something that's much like kind of a no-no for me. I know this information. You know what I'm saying? I called my brother this week and I told him, I was like, yeah, I did Molly back. He's like, you fucking idiot. He's like, you idiot. He's like, grow up. He's like, grow up. He's like, of course you had a good time. He's like, yo, it's the shit. But the reality is the come down, off that is just, it almost makes it not worth it, to be honest. It really doesn't. So that week I was coming down, and honestly, if you go back in time in the podcast, I had a week, in the podcast where I had done the same thing. I went to this like 3-day rave. I was talking to Jim Crush 2, and then all hell broke loose. You know what I'm saying? That week after, I was fucking whiny. I was needy. I was fucking coming on here bitching, to be honest, really. And honestly, when I recorded the podcast last week, I felt the same exact way. I was like, it just isn't me. It's just not me. You know what I'm saying? That person that came on here and did that. And the reality is I can't show up for y'all. I can't show up for the people that are important to me when I'm just like mentally drained. And here's what I realized. Again, I don't even want to sit here and act like the come down is like made me into a different person. You know what it does? I think what happens when you're coming off of Molly or any of those things like that, especially if you're doing a decent amount, like the come down is so much easier if you have your comfort sources. So for me, right, and this is what happened is I come off of that weekend. Again, I'm talking to a long distance girl. And what's really hard is, I'm out there, I'm having a good time, but also I'm kind of second guessing, like, making a move or doing something wild because obviously, again, I'm not trying to fuck on or do anything crazy. I'm really at the part of my life where I'm ready for something real. First off, I'm not fucking around on anybody. I'm not going to not tell you the truth, bro. I'm not the type of person that's going to go fuck around, like, bang a girl at this point and not be single, I guess, is what I'm really trying to say. So like if I tell you that we're exclusive or I expect that same sort of boundary, then I'm not going to cross the line. It is what it is. If you do it to me, that's fine. I'm just at the point in my life, literally one of my goals that I've been writing down every single day is today I'm showing up with pure love and honesty in my relationships. All of them. I do not care if somebody doesn't do that for me. I'm just at the point in my life where that's where I'm at. I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to show up honest. If you hurt me, it is what it is. That's on you. And what I find though is like, if you do show up honest, you'll attract that kind of honesty. Anyways, I digress. Long story short. I come off the weekend, obviously, again, I'm not fucking around, but something that happens to me is I start putting more pressure on the long distance situation because I'm like, bro, I want to see you. You're like, let's make a plan. Turns out that this girl doesn't want to meet up with me because she has hesitations, reservations about seeing me, even though we're talking on the phone every single day, which is wild to me. And essentially I put all this pressure on her and just started fighting with her every single day. Pretty much. That's the truth. Just fighting with her every single day about not seeing her. And what I realized is like, I wanted comfort, that's really what it comes down to. And I just wanted my person to be around. I wanted to lay around on the couch. I wanted to, it's going to sound weird, but like, just someone to be there with me for that moment, because that's when it happens, right? My serotonin's all drained. I'm not feeling as motivated. And what do? When you're not feeling yourself and when you're not feeling great, you cling on to comfort. And that's just the truth about life in general, right? Like it's hard to get uncomfortable and make changes, but it's even harder to do those things when you're not in the right state of mind, or when you're having habits that are destroying your mental, poor sleep, taking drugs, hanging out with negative people. I mean, whatever, you name it, alcohol, right? Those things are going to drain you even more, and they're going to make you want to reach more for the comfort, right? That's all it is. All of those things I just mentioned, it sounds weird, but all to me are like a drug in a way, right? All comfort really is. So I guess long story short of it, and I keep saying that, but you already know it's not going to be. I'm putting on a lot of pressure on this girl about seeing her. And it's almost like I give her this ultimatum of like, if you don't fucking see me, I'm like, what the fuck is the point? Like, what are we doing? And we try to have these real vulnerable conversations. She's really being honest with me about how she just doesn't want to push forward. We're long distance. She doesn't want to, put herself in this position where she sees me and then gets more attached and deeper attached. And then I'm still not there. And then I don't show up for her. I've been so inconsistent, which I understand, right? Like I have to take a step back and understand for myself. Like I had been inconsistent. I had done things that have, maybe broken the trust of the situation, but I've had my reasons, and the reasons have been, again, I don't see you, right? How am I gonna be loyal to somebody I don't see you? I don't want to be with somebody that's not doing the most. And what I've really realized is both of us just aren't in a position to provide what the other person needs. And so again, combined with Molly weekend, into, I'm having my downward spiral, right? Like I'm doing my work, but honestly, none of it is really that good because I'm not feeling great. And when you're not feeling good about your relationship, also it doesn't help the rest of your life. This is why I got into dating coaching in the first place. People always ask me like, how did you even want to become, like, why did you even want to become a dating coach, or why did you even want to do this? Because this is what I tell people. I truly believe that your relationship is the biggest source of most people's anxiety. That's how I feel. And maybe it's because that's how I feel personally. The biggest source of my anxiety in my life, now definitely work. But I would say the second thing is relationships, right? Relationships dictate the way we move, the way we feel. If you're in a great relationship, you're feeling on 10, consistency. When you're in a shitty relationship, bro, it changes your life. Like I said, it's like a drug, you're in a toxic relationship, you're not going to feel good. And honestly, they're the most complicated problems to solve because humans are so unpredictable, and we all have different manifestations of the way that we feel and the way that we operate. So having two people to combine forces and try to commit to each other and do something, I always just was fascinated by that. Also, I think back in the day, I just like wanted to get girls and I used to not get any. So, I used to be the middleman. Back in the day. I have a new website coming out. I actually have a little in my about page. You could read more about my story. But I guess with this being said, relationships are complicated, and I think that they dictate a lot of your mood and a lot of the way that you show up in the rest of your life. So that's kind of what happens to me is I get into these relationships. There's this relationship friction. I start to get deviated away from the things that I really value. And, I then start to blame the relationship, because what I realize is like, I do feel really at peace and happy when I'm on my own. And that's a really scary thought, especially as an avoidant person, because I think that's how you're really raised. The reason that you're avoidant, most people are, is because your whole life, you maybe have dealt with emotionally unavailable or dismissive or absent parents. And essentially you had to grow up with yourself, right? Like if you had a shitty day, you had no one to go to. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really, like, even now today, like sometimes it's funny. It's like I'm having a shitty day and I just like think, I'm like, oh, should I call my mom? I was like, nah, that's, she'd make me feel better, but is she really going to care? No. And that sounds fucked up because I know she really does. And I know she would. That's the weirdest, but do you hear the reflex? The reflex is, you know what? No one's going to care. Handle it yourself, big boy. You know what I'm saying? You're stoic. You've got it. You got to handle that on your own. So I think I've just always been used to regulating my own self, regulating my own emotions, not leaning on people when I have problems. And so what happens is when I do find somebody where I am starting to rely and lean on them, I put a fuck ton of pressure on them to perform almost for my emotional well-being. Truly. So again, in my down moments, right, I'm serotonin's drained. I'm putting a lot of pressure on this girl. I want to see you, but why am I asking her to see me? The truth is like, well, number one, I just need that, plain and simple. I mean, what the fuck is the point of a relationship if you don't have intimacy? You know what I'm saying? And when you're not hanging out, you're spending time together. What the fuck is the point? So, we get into these huge fights and I'm pretty much telling him like, what are we doing? This past week, it kind of trickles into this week. Again, it was nothing major. It's not like something fucking happened that like, I didn't break my leg or some shit. That's why I didn't put out the podcast. I didn't put out the podcast because I recorded it and I was like, this is just literally like, some of it's good, but like, this is honestly just me fucking bitching and complaining and whining. And it just looks like somebody that is in his woe is me moment. And that's really not me. I take accountability for my shit. I'm not a victim, It's okay to have down moments. I don't want you to feel that you can't have negative feelings and negative thoughts, but I don't want to show up for y'all when I really am trying to help y'all and guide y'all or just, feel like myself. I think that's the biggest thing. Authentically, that didn't sound and feel like myself, and I wasn't myself. So whatever, fuck it. We miss a week, we keep moving on. And, here's kind of what happened. This past week, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. As soon as the come down started to wear off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I got back into myself. I was like, you know what? My life is reliant on me. All of this comfort that I'm wanting from this girl, I need to give to myself. She's not here. What I want in this relationship is not happening. And that's what it is. And honestly, that was a realization I really made over the last like few days and weeks. And it's funny, I was like coaching somebody. I was coaching this girl and she was telling me about her like long distance situation. And it's funny because a lot of the things that she was complaining about were a lot of the things that I complained about. I was like, I might not be crazy because there is somebody out there that sees things the way that I see things, right? She was complaining about this lack of effort that this guy was giving to her and all the sacrifices she felt she was making to, be in this relationship. And she felt that this guy wasn't showing up for her. And it's weird because again, there's two sides to the story. Like on the guy's side, I'm sure she was sacrificing herself too much and maybe he truly was avoidant, whatever. But I guess the whole point of this is I started to realize, I was like, why am I fighting for this relationship if I'm literally just not getting my needs met? It's up to me to secure my needs. It's not up to her, right? It's up to me to be happy for myself and to make choices that are aligned with what I feel. And what I'm doing is by putting it on her to give me what I feel like I need, I'm taking the power out of my hands. And I think the hard part is this. We both really fucking care about each other. But the fact is we are super fucking far. And that's what's funny too. Is like this week, me and her had a really honest conversation. She was at the beach and we're FaceTiming and she's just like, hey, listen, like, I am just sad, right? Like, cause she wants marriage, she wants kids and she wants a family and she wants to live in New York, plain and simple. She was really honest with me about that. And I turned around and I said to her, listen, I was like, you need to date other people. And the truth is like, we both really care about each other because we have this potential. But the truth is like, both of us are unsatisfied in this style of relationship. It's not that we hate each other and that we don't love each other. It's just, we're not in the right place for this situation to truly grow. But the truth of the matter is you could still be that person and not be in the right situation, right? And that's what's true to me. I got to be true to Chris too. True to Chris is I feel resentment in this relationship. I don't get to see you. I don't get to hold you. The only time we do get to spend is on the phone, which doesn't really work for me because there's no synergy being made. It's not like we're vibing, laughing, fucking, having food together, doing things that I can give you my time, but my time is also being replenished because you're also helping, right? And you're supporting me as well. But the truth is when you're an entrepreneur and you're dating somebody long distance, to be honest, it's just FaceTime. And that's taking me away from the things that I genuinely care about. So the truth of the matter is, and we both it's crazy. Like this was the most amicable separation I really feel like I've ever been in. And it was just really dead honest truth. Hey, this situation isn't really working for both of us. Let's just be friends. We don't need to go no contact. It's not that. If you feel like you want to reach out to me, I'm open to it. It's okay. And vice versa. And we just came to the understanding that for her to be happy, I was like, listen, you need to date other people. You need to be, because the fact is, I'm not in the position to give you what you need right now, and you're not in the position to give me what I need right now. And we just got to be honest, and we just got to be real. And it's very hard because you know how it is, right? Like when you care about somebody, you want to make it work no matter what. But sometimes there's just a truth that both of y'all are really denying. That's the truth. The truth, I can't tell you how many relationships that I personally coach where, and honestly, most of the relationships where people call me and they ask me about their situation, there's an underlying value difference. Maybe that guy's not in a position to date and you just really want commitment. You guys are going to fight into oblivion because both of you guys are not in the same place in life. You get what I'm saying? And we try to force the relationship because both sides do care about each other. So you do these things, but what ends up happening is you end up fighting a lot and there ends up being all this resentment because someone always feels like they're making a sacrifice. And you can't live in a relationship like that. It still also has to have the situation to grow and to breathe. So that's kind of where I've been at the last week and a half. And also, to take it really deeper, I mentioned how you could have all these high standards and be super busy, but still not be productive. I don't know if I said that, but that's what I want to talk about really quick. And here's the truth. The truth is for me, like I write down my goals every day, and what's on that list? Post 25 videos on Instagram this month. I want to be earning X amount of dollars per month. I want X amount of followers by X date. And I want to have X amount of podcast listens. I want to have a brand deal. I have all these things on my list. And what's crazy is since I've been doing that and writing my goals down, I have yet to accomplish posting 25 videos in a month. And I understand that's probably easier said than done. It is, trust me, as a content creator. But what I realized is accountability time, Chris. The truth is like I've made a lot of actions and decisions that are not in alignment with truly what is important. And I think the things that are important to me right now, yes, a relationship is definitely important. I want to have a family, but it needs to be aligned to what I want right now. I want intimacy. I want closeness. I want somebody that I could come home to every day. I don't want somebody that's across the country, plain and simple. And I want to be hustling on my business. I want to post 25 videos in a month. And why haven't I accomplished those goals? I haven't accomplished those goals because I've been busy doing everything else besides what is truly important. And I find that's for a lot of us. And a lot of it is people pleasing, to be honest, or maybe it's just comfort. And what I mean by that is I feel like I would have accomplished those things had I not made choices to engage in a relationship that is not aligned with my goals. Had I chose to not give in and break my boundaries, right? And again, easier said than done. Also, I'm making choices like, for instance, the Molly, right? Like, so since that weekend, I decided that I'm going to probably I'm going to call it semi-sober till my birthday, November 13th. And what I mean by that is no hard drugs. So, no Coke, no Percocet, no Molly. I know I'm saying that like I do it all the time, but no, I'm really balanced when it comes to my drug use. I'm not the type, I don't have like addictive personality. I could literally have a fucking a fucking yay upstairs and I could have it there for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the type of dude that's doing it all the time. Like if I go out on a weekend, yeah, maybe I'll, pop a fucking Molly. But what I'm recognizing is even when I do that once every month or once in a while, every single time that never makes me feel good afterwards. And every single time I make that choice, I'm saying no to the things that are most important to me. Every single time I say yes to this girl and a phone call and 3 hours on the phone and us being in a relationship that's not suitable to my lifestyle, I'm saying no to the things that are important to me. And that's what I've realized is like I was yearning for this comfort from her. I wanted her to give me the comfort that I felt like I was seeking that, to be honest, I really need to give to myself. The reality is I'm not getting it from that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get it from doing what's uncomfortable, closing that door and saying, hey, now's not the time. Close that door and focus in on myself, focus in on my goals. I'll find somebody that's aligned to me authentically if I know exactly what I'm looking for and I'm keeping boundaries on that. So that's essentially where I've kind of been at, is just radical fucking accountability time. And it's funny because I sit up here and talk about it all the time, but the truth is like, I know that I do a lot, but sometimes I'm doing so much, and what I would qualify is of things that are not going in the right direction. You could be running really fast, but if you're running really fast in the wrong direction, you're going nowhere fast. You also might be going backwards fast. So something I've been telling my coachees lately is you got to slow down. You got to slow down. And it feels like you're going to go slower, that you're going to miss out, or that you're not going to accomplish your goals. But what I'm recognizing is when you slow down, you take more intentional action. And an intentional action is so much more powerful than a fuck ton of action. You know what I'm saying? Relax, plan out, determine where you want to go, then start moving. You can't forget the action part. I'm not saying don't make a move. But my whole point is you really got to think about where you're going and why you're doing all the things that you're doing. I look back at my time, right, that I've been spending. I've been spending so much time maybe like arguing about this relationship, and all that time could have went into just me making a video or being good within my life. Now, I understand that in a relationship, you have to compromise some of your time and put in some energy, but that's where the ebb and flow of me not feeling fulfilled comes in, because now I'm investing this time over the phone to somebody that I'm not seeing, which is making me feel like, what the fuck is the return? Why am I doing something that I feel like is a sacrifice? Because that's how it feels. Yes, I enjoy talking to you. Don't get me wrong, but it's almost like I'm talking to you because I want to secure me seeing you in person. And do you see how that doesn't really make sense? Because if I can't really even do that, I am sacrificing. I'm not doing that because I want to do it then. I'm doing it because I'm pleasing. Because I feel like if I behave well, then I will get to see you and I will ultimately get what I want. But that's not how it works. You have to take all the action in the present moment right now intentionally on the things that you truly want to do. And if I really if I took a step back and I said, okay, how would I want to live my life every single day? Like ask yourself that question right now. What would be the ideal day for you? You know what I'm saying? Just on a day-to-day basis. And then see how you're utilizing your time. And then see how you're utilizing your week, right? So for me, right, ideal day would look like wake up, meditate, pray, eat a healthy breakfast, work on videos. I need to dedicate a couple hours to that because that's what brings me the most value and the most joy. Make a podcast. Read my books, go to the gym. That fulfills me. And, maybe spend some time with friends, socialize. Like, yeah, that time is still important too, right? Spend some time with my relationship if I am in one. Play some Xbox with a friend, or just get dinner with somebody, go to sushi, whatever it might be. That to me sounds like a very complete whole day. And then get 9 hours of sleep, honestly. I think if I did that, I would be happy every single day. And it's funny how we deviate from that perfect day, right? Easily, life just comes in. Then you get this relationship that's happening. Now I'm FaceTiming. Now I'm arguing. Now I'm getting away from the things that I know make me happy and I know that I value. And even over the span of a week, you could take the same thing, right? These things just pop up and happen. People taking your time in different ways that you don't really want to spend. And it usually is our own self clinging to some comfort source. And again, I was feeling good. It's not like I was feeling bad. I'm always usually on point with my habits. But But I guess what I'm really trying to say is when I really look back, the last like few weeks since I've been back into this relationship, I realize my gym has been slipping. I've been going for like 45 minutes. My workouts haven't been as hard. I haven't been putting as much effort into the things that I care about. I am just, and what happens is you use that comfort source, like for me, right, as an escape. I'm escaping my reality, right? I'm escaping the fact that I'm not accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish. Oh, well, I have this girl and she's, it's good to just talk to her and bullshit. And this feels good. It does feel good. Molly does feel good. It's crazy. Like those things feel good. Going out and drinking with your friends, those things feel good. And don't get me wrong, maybe there is a time and a place for those things. But what I realize is very quickly those things turn into taking the front stage and everything else taking a back seat. And it can happen very fast. And you think that you could be this high performing fucking person, but what you're doing is you're just overthinking and running in the wrong directions. So it was time for us to have an honest conversation, which was awesome, very real. And now it's time to re-engage and refocus on the things that are important to me. So that's kind of where I'm at. Oh, one other side topic I wanted to talk about is, so what happens when I'm in these moods and in these moments, and something that I've really been dealing with for a very long time, I actually have a tattoo that says the word envy on it. And I would say one of my worst traits, and I don't want to judge myself because it's a human trait, but one of the traits that I really dislike the most about myself is the trait of jealousy and the trait of envy. And maybe not so much jealousy, like, and I'm not talking about from a relationship standpoint. I'm not talking about like somebody like stealing my girl. Like I can give two shits. You want to steal her? Then go ahead, take her. Then she doesn't really care about me that much. But for me, it's really more about seeing people do really well in something that I want to do well in. I think that's really what it comes down to. And what I've realized, and something I saw this week, which was really cool, is how do you combat jealousy? And I was trying to like figure this out because, it's something that kills my mood. It's a mood crusher. Comparison is the thief of joy or some bullshit like that. But it is true, right? Like if you're in that state of mind, how do you create good content? How do you create great art? If you are so worried and concerned about how great other people are doing. So I've done two things to overcome my jealousy and my envy that I feel like is really helping me. Number one, there was a video I found and it said, jealousy is a lack of gratitude. Jealousy is a lack of gratitude. It just means you're really not grateful for the shit that you have to look at somebody else and say, wow, they have so much more than me, or they have something that's better than me. It's like, appreciate the shit that you got. Appreciate the life that you have. Appreciate the great gifts and the things that you really do have. It's so easy to sit there and point the finger and think that they're doing so much better. You have no idea how some of these people are living their life. And especially on social media, I think that's the problem, right? Is like you're not seeing the full picture. You never are. You're seeing the actions. You're seeing what people want to show you, but no one's showing you the garbage. They're showing you the highlights. And here's the second thing that I've really done. And here's one thing I want to say. Sometimes some truths are just very real. And I think that's what makes jealousy hard. And let me explain it this way. Like, for instance, I'm just going to be really open and honest. Like, there's this one guy I feel like, and honestly, it switches. This is what happens to me. I seem to look around, and what I'll do is like every month or so, I'll find a new person that I'll envy. I realize that my body will do that. It's somebody on social media that's blowing up, and I'm realizing like, oh, why ain't I like that? Somebody over here that's getting more views than me. Ah, man, I wish I was like funnier like that. Or how is he getting all those views? Why am I not getting them? Oh, look at this guy. Like, oh gosh, he's so fucking tall and hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, honest. And I'm just like, man, if I was fucking like that or I looked like that, like life would be so much fucking easier. Like, that it's so bullshit. I have to work 3 times harder to get what I want. This guy could just show up and show his face and, he gets all the fame. You know what I'm saying? And what is such an ugly you know, mindset that is. But it's human, right? It's human. I think we all have feelings like that. And it sucks, you know, and I hate it because, again, it puts you in such a negative mood. So here's what I've been doing every day. Every morning or whenever I do pray, I actually right now what I've been doing is I've been praying for the success for the people that I am envious of. So I say, I hope that they keep going. I hope they keep getting more views. I hope they keep getting more followers. I hope that they're happy. Really, that's ultimately what it is. Fuck those egotistical things. I just hope that they're happy. I hope that they find what they're looking for, and I wish for their success. And I realize then in those moments, I'm like, that's such a better view than being envious of what I don't have or the lack that I have. Just be happy for them. Just be happy for the fact that, guess what? Maybe it was easier. Maybe they are, honestly, let's be honest. Like, dude, there's some guys where I'm like, you are 1,000% hotter than me. You know what I'm saying? You are 1,000% like more attractive. I understand. You know what I'm saying? Or, hey, this guy is really creative. Or, hey, this guy is really consistent. Honestly, more than I am. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like just learning to accept myself for exactly who I am. And I realize that when I accept myself and I love myself and I wish for their success, I show up with gratitude. I show up with happiness and with good vibes and good energy in my life. And it just, because I'm telling you, that's the quickest way for me to get into a shit mood. And you got to find those triggers and those things that get you in a bad place and learn to find ways to combat them. And that's one for me that's really a big deal, is the comparison, the jealousy, and the envy. And mostly it is about work. It's not ever really about, again, a relationship. But again, we all have different things and reasons that we compare ourselves or what we want more of. So anyways, let's get into the video. I wanted to play this video. One of my old coachees actually sent it to me, and she wanted to know my thoughts on it. And it's about this guy, it's not a guy. It's this guy in a talk show with like Oprah Winfrey or some shit. But it's about, she wanted to know my viewpoint on this video. You've talked about successful women before. Why is it that men find women that are successful or accomplished so intimidating? So I'm going to play the video and then I'm going to react to it.
Found that I think men are more likely to have bizarrely unrealistic expectations. I have so many girlfriends who are highly accomplished, highly educated, great people, and just wonderful women. And the dating pool is absolutely brutal for them.
What are these men looking for?
It is entirely unclear to me that it's like, why are there men not jumping to want to date them? So,
well, Alicia, those are not bizarre and unrealistic expectations, because reality is that ultimately men want to build a family, okay? And most men don't want to be with an accomplished and educated woman because those women are entitled, demanding, and a pain to deal with. Even different studies will tell you that that's the case. So most of your accomplished and educated friends are very likely to end up with a cat instead of a family, just like Whoopi.
Shit on her. Oh boy. Okay. So I guess the summary is this, this woman's wondering why, her friends that are just like fucking amazing, educated go-getters, while they're struggling to find men. And she's saying that the dating pool is brutal and men's expectations are really unrealistic. And then which he turns around and says, those women are usually entitled and men want to start a family. And that's why they usually don't go for those types of girls. Now, I want to attack this from both sides of the argument. And I feel like there's truth to both sides. And what we really need to find is a middle ground. So let me say from my perspective personally, I do want a successful woman. I do want a motivated, highly energized woman. That is really attractive to me. I do not want, and what I would agree with is, I do not want an entitled woman. I do not want a woman that can't be collaborative. I do not want a woman that doesn't want to also be supportive on top of that. This is a team game. This is not me versus you. It should not be a competition. And here's the thing. Usually those highly successful women, the thing is they do have these boundaries, or they might have these limiting beliefs about men and how men are trying to take advantage of them. And what happens is they don't allow themselves to truly be vulnerable and to be led by men. And I understand that because they're so highly accomplished and maybe they don't trust some of the men that they're dating. And that to me makes sense. Truly. But here's what we also have to understand about highly successful people in the first place. I think highly successful people are the minority in the world. Truly, right? So if you look at it from that perspective, right? You have a highly successful woman. You have to find a highly successful man. Already, to me, you're diminishing, right? You're already taking out half to maybe 70% of men. Let's be honest. Because, and again, it's not just men included, but to me, 75 to 80% of the world is average. Let's just call it what it is, right? Like a lot of people don't have that accountability. A lot of people don't do what they say they want to do. If that was the truth, we'd be having a lot more millionaires. We'd have a lot more people that are crushing it, that are doing amazing things. But the truth is, not everybody is built like that. That's just the truth. Really, there's not as many. There's a lot of talkers in the world. There's very few movers and shakers. I tell that to my coaches all the time. Listen, if you're a highly successful, highly ambitious person, the dating pool is a little bit smaller in that regard. Not everybody here is motivated and actually doing what they say that they're doing. So with that being said, let's say you're a highly successful woman, right? First off, in order to be led, right, and have that masculine, feminine dynamic to be intact, in my opinion, the man needs to be, and just to keep it real, smarter, more motivated, and doesn't necessarily have to be earning more, but to me has to at least equal you in terms of intelligence and has to at least equal you in terms of motivation. I don't understand how a relationship works in that way if the man doesn't have that motivational lead, right? Because in a masculine feminine dynamic, the woman wants to rely on the man. She does, right? I think that's the ultimate goal is at some point there is a sort of a reliance. And again, it is a team game at the end of the day. But with that being said, I think that's the thing is like, think about that. If you're a highly successful woman, now you're looking for a highly successful man. And on top of that, again, you've now shrunk the dating pool to something really minuscule. Yes. Are those other men that you meet that are not above you or are not motivated or not crushing it? Are they going to be somewhat intimidated by you? Maybe. And maybe they don't want to deal with your high standards. And what ends up happening in those dynamics, I find when a woman is more motivated than a man in a relationship, what ends up happening is the masculine feminine dynamic gets fucked up and the relationship starts to crumble. And what happens is usually a person with low self-worth, let's say it's a man, right? And he doesn't really have that high worthiness. What is it? He's usually going to fear that you are going to leave him. So, and think about it, this is how everybody is. We fear rejection. We fear failure. So if I'm a man and I don't have a ton of self-worth and I meet this highly motivated woman who's doing great, am I going to trust her? Am I going to trust her to stay with me? Probably not. So what am I going to do? I'm going to keep you at a distance. No, you're too good for me. I'm good. Like, I have nothing to offer you. Why do you want this? Blah, blah, blah. And I see a lot of women. What do? And the problem is sometimes women want the relationship more than they care about their job. So what they end up doing is they end up pleasing and watering themselves down to that guy. No, don't worry, baby. Like, I got you. Like, I won't leave you. I don't care. But the only reason you're even caring about that dynamic is maybe because he's keeping you at a distance, right? Women wanting or craving that guy that is like, no, I can't give you what you need. And a woman's like, no, I can fix this. You know what I'm saying? I can get you on track. But what's happening in that situation is, again, I truly think both things are true. I truly believe that when you are a highly motivated person and that guy actually said, okay, let's do this, and then he was sitting on the couch playing video games and you're coming home from your job, I don't think you're going to like that. I think you would ultimately leave him. I think he has every right not to trust you. And he probably knows that subconsciously. He subconsciously knows that you have more worthiness in that area than he does. So what do a lot of those guys do? Again, yes, they don't want, quote unquote, he called it an entitled woman, right? An entitled woman, meaning like she feels like she deserves so much. And to a degree, I understand that, right? Like, again, yes, does a guy want to deal with somebody that has a lot of expectations if he can't even handle the expectations for himself? That's the truth, is it not? If I am a person who's not a high performer and a highly successful, motivated person, I already don't live up to my expectations. Why am I going to want to live up to your expectations? Does that make sense? You get what I'm saying? That's why that doesn't work. So you want to know why men are intimidated by that? Because more than likely they are not successful themselves. And of course they're not going to trust you because that seems very strange, does it not? As a man, I kind of feel like that's like strange. I was helping one of my coachees today. She's like her situationship broke up with her. But really what it is the situationship's telling her like, you don't deserve me. You don't need me. I have nothing to offer you. Why are you trying to tell him, yes, I can? It's like, he doesn't believe you. He doesn't really even genuinely love himself, right? So when somebody comes into his life and says, I love you, that doesn't make sense to him. He's not going to believe you. You get what I'm saying? Someone that doesn't love themselves, when you try to give them love, the problem is they're going to push you away because they don't love themselves. And they're only going to chase the people that don't love them because that's their self-belief. I hope that makes sense. So what happens is you're a woman or anybody, right? And you're pleasing somebody. You're trying to get them to understand, like, open up, baby. Give me this relationship. You are enough for me. If he doesn't, or if they don't believe that about themselves, they're just thinking that you're a fucking snake salesman. You know what I'm saying? You're a car salesman. That's bullshit. Why do you love me if I don't love me? That doesn't make sense. And honestly, what it's realizing to him is just like, damn, this girl has, or this person has no self-respect because I have no self-respect and she still wants to take care of me. That's crazy. And that's why they care about the person that's eluding them or avoiding them, because that's how they feel about themselves. But ultimately, the thing is, I'll say this too. There's a lot of highly successful women that are kicking ass in business that have low self-worth in the areas of relationships. And that's where you get that, right? Where you get those highly successful women getting, beat around or pushed around by these low value men or these not high value men, right? Because you just have such low self-confidence in the areas of relationships. And that's where these things get complicated. There's a lot of crossover because you could be a go-getter at work, but you could be a janitor level when it comes to holding a boundary in relationships. And that's where you're really getting fucked. So here's the other thing too about, guys wanting a woman that is less entitled. I will say this. There are a lot of highly successful women that I feel like get to that place because they do have this attitude of, I don't want to depend on you, and I don't want to collaborate with you. And I actually would agree with him, which is like some of those really highly successful women, the reason that they don't find relationships is because they fail to collaborate. They fail to allow themselves to be vulnerable with somebody and allow themselves to support the man. You know what I'm saying? I know you want a highly successful man, and I get that. You want somebody that you want to be able to submit to. But when you do find somebody that is that way, are you truly able to be supportive and show up in those different ways? Can you actually do that? Right? So I would disagree with just the fact that like a man is intimidated by a successful woman. I think a non-successful man or a not highly motivated man, of course, would be intimidated by that for the reasons that I've just said. But I also will agree that there are a lot of highly successful women that do hold on to this entitlement that make it very difficult to want to collaborate and be in that relationship. Because also here's the other thing, right? So I kind of think about my relationships in my life, right? I consider myself a high value man, right? I feel like I'm motivated. I take care of myself, all those good things. So I do expect and I do want a woman that is on that same wave. But again, what did I say was my important value, right? My important value was intimacy and closeness. I want to be in a relationship where I'm spending time with you and we're having fun together. But to be honest, I guess my version and my vision of it is I do want somebody that's going to be around, maybe help me shoot a video, that can laugh with me, can joke with me, can do all these things. If you're a highly successful woman, you can do those things, and I'm sure you could be that role, because I believe it exists. I believe that you could have both. I truly do. I do not believe that it's one or the other. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe that all highly successful women are entitled and not collaborative, right? They're not. Are there a lot? Yeah. Because I think in order to get to that level where you are highly successful, you need to have really strong boundaries, or you need to have some beliefs about men and being dependent on them that are really pushing you away, that are building these walls, right? So you have these giant walls up about how men are going to take away from you. And so if you have those walls up, the likelihood of you being fun and collaborative and be able to chill out and just vibe with me maybe isn't that high. But I guess what I'm trying to say is this, is like a woman like that I want to be around also is like very supportive of my dreams and is going to help me out a lot. Like if my whole life is, and here's the thing, this is where it gets really tricky, right? This masculine feminine dynamic, does it really matter? Is it really a thing? Because what I was even about to say right now is like, I do want somebody that is going to be supportive, right? Like I do want somebody that's going to help me around the house. Like let's say we do have kids. I do want you to be a mom. I do want you to play that role. You know what I'm saying? And again, I want to be there and help you out and be the dad, right? But I do want to be the provider. And I guess what happens in that sense is if we both are doing that, right? Where is the room left for having that dynamic? And I guess that's what he's really trying to say there too, is like, if it's so focused on work and it's so focused on your goals and it's not really about having a family or wanting that or wanting to maybe be in a more supportive role in that way, it might be harder, or it might be more appealing for me as a highly successful man to just find a girl that's really attractive, really loving, really supportive over the girl that has all these boundaries, has all these constraints around her time, that she can't spend time with me, or she doesn't want to be at home, or she's just always going to be away. And it's like, what's the point of that? You know what I'm saying? So my ultimate vision for myself is I do find a girl that has the ability and wants to do both. I want a woman that I know can get after it and does the most. Because here's the thing, even if I do provide all of the bacon and she comes home and is a stay-at-home mom, I want a woman that instills great values in my kids, that does push them to work hard, that does believe in not being solely dependent on other people for their happiness or even for their income. Like I want to know that the woman that I'm dating can still get it and be on her own without me, truly. Now, I want to domesticate her, you know what I'm saying? In a halfway. That's the thing. It's not a full domestication for me. I don't need you to be in the house 24/7. It's not it. You can literally it's not like you can't have your own job. I want you to be successful. I want you to kick ass. But like I said, I also want you to be collaborative. I also want you to show up at home. I also want you to be there for me when I need you, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? I also want to be a great dad. I want to be there for my kids. I want days where I'm there without you there with the kids, to be honest. Go ahead. Go be with your friends. Go do your side hustle. Go do your job. No problem. I'll be there. But for the most part, right, I am a pretty busy individual. I do have a lot of goals. I do have a lot of things that I want to accomplish. So I guess my view of relationships to me is more modern in the sense of I truly believe in a household that both people can get after it and both people can support each other in ways that they do feel really good, where it is pretty equal. But like I said, maybe a little bit more leaning on the woman as like that motherly figure, that supportive figure, and just kind of having that little imbalance for a little bit of that masculine feminine dynamic. That's how I see it. All right. So last scenario I'm going to get into, I do have time for it, which is great. This girl sent me in a very long fucking TikTok question. I'm not going to use her name or anything like that. It's going to be anonymous. But I thought it was a really cool scenario to bring up because I do feel like a lot of women experience this scenario in some way. And I wanted to give you the guy's perspective on it. So, okay. So she said, how do you navigate this connection? She's dating a 36-year-old man. She's 29. This guy is a single father who is never married and is moving slowly, going the no expectations route. He prefers face-to-face over text, and he has 2 jobs and a house. He's been honest and vulnerable about many things with me. Off the bat, matching on Bumble, he told me he was in a 7-year relationship that ended a few years ago, but they officially moved on last year. They have a 3-year-old son that they co-parent. So she's dating this guy, 36, has a child, recently out of a relationship about a year ago or so, and he's co-parenting with that person that they were together. So she's dating this new guy. I've been talking to him since February of this year. Things get better and better each time emotionally. He remembers little things about me, but I still feel insecure even though he's transparent. For example, something was bothering me and his reaction was, let's sit down and talk about it. So also, he knows how to communicate. I do feel like I get mixed messages from him. When we matched, we expressed what we were looking for, or he was looking for. He said he wanted casual, looking to focus on him. That is a very important statement, by the way. I was fine with that. Also very important. But then we started with the deep chats and he expressed he would want a relationship, but with his schedule and finances, he's in no means in being in one. Also just doubled down on him not being able to be ready for a relationship. But then, in all caps, this is great women shit. 2 weeks ago, he opened up about how he feels lonely and wants companionship. He's openly told me I see him and feel him. I visited him at his job. And he's kissed me in front of his coworkers. I slept over for the first time last week and gave him a sentimental Father's Day gift, and he bawled his eyes out and said, I'm a wonderful person. We even interlocked our hands in bed for the first time. All right, so things are moving. There are things that raise yellow flags to me, but I overthink and obsess a lot, and I'm afraid to bring them up because I'm not used to a man who is actually okay with communication, honesty, and being vulnerable and likes deep chats. I'm used to men running. I don't know if this matters, but he also mentioned that when he bought the house, he did not put his ex on the deed because something inside of him said not to, and expressed how he was patient and tried for over 7 years, thinking that if he took the lead, she'd follow, but she didn't, and he doesn't bash her, but he's just filled with frustration and stress of the past. But how do you balance no expectations and wanting clarity? All right, so I think this is a classic situation where I think what's happening is, and the feelings that I could feel already is, she obviously wants something deeper. This girl that's sending in the question, this 29-year-old girl, she's dating this guy who's 36, single, co-parenting, told her when they had matched that he's not in a position to date. He wants to be working on himself right now, et cetera, et cetera. But again, the way that he operates is of a guy that is emotionally intelligent. And I think that's the confusing part to this girl, because it's like, you're willing to communicate, you're emotionally intelligent, we're having these little moments where it seems like you're being vulnerable and that you do really care about me, but it's also strange because we also have talked about keeping it somewhat casual and that you aren't really ready for something serious. So she's probably asking, she's like, here's really what it comes down to, in my opinion, is she wants something deeper. She knows she wants something deeper. She feels herself getting to that place, wanting that relationship, but she doesn't know how to communicate that and express that because she feels like if she does, she could be going too much forward or going too fast. And in her history, every single time she's maybe brought this up, the guys have run. And maybe she's scared to bring it up to him because maybe she doesn't really want the truth. And I think that's exactly where we're at. And this is exactly where we're at in a lot of relationships. Again, just like we expressed at the beginning of this podcast, right? How you guys can care a lot about each other. You have 2 people that genuinely give a shit about each other. But if there is an underlying truth, there's an underlying truth. And that's the scary part. And that's why you don't want to communicate and express it vulnerably, because I don't know if you're ready for that answer, because that answer scares you. And you also right? This is, again, we're accepting the good instead of going after the great, right? The good is this. The good is we do have a great relationship. It does feel like we're getting to know each other and getting more vulnerable. It feels great. Like, it feels good to be here. But the underlying truth is what? The underlying truth is what's truly great to you is wanting and being in a committed relationship with somebody that also is ready and willing to do that. And this is where we get stuck in life, right? We accept the B+ instead of the A+. And this is, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's hard, right? Because again, it feels nice. But here's where I'm at. And this is my advice to you. If he's great at communicating, speak up. especially then, especially if he's emotionally intelligent. Let him know where you're at, right? Say to him, yo, because here's the thing. You can sit here and hide. You just wrote to me a novel about this guy. Here's the funniest fucking part about people that come to me with these questions. If you don't think that homie already knows how much you like him, you're smoking crack. You know what I'm saying? That's the funniest part is you think that you're hiding it, but you're not hiding it. Sorry, sweetheart, you're not. So actually the most confident thing for you to do in this situation would be to own up to the feelings and say, yo, listen, I'm going to be real. You know, I know that we got into this and you talked to me about wanting to go slow and that you're not really open to a relationship. I'm going to be honest with you with the way that these things have gone and me spending more time with you. I realize that for me, I'm starting to care about you deeper than that. I've realized for me that this relationship is no longer casual. And I know that's scary as fuck to say to somebody, but it is the truth. It is the truth. And that puts him in a position to tell you one of two things. Number one, hey, I understand. Hey, I just need more time. I'm on the right track with you. I do see that with you, but maybe I just need a little bit more time to do that. Or, hey, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't see that right now. And that's something that I'm really not interested in. And I'm really sorry if that's how you feel. And that's going to suck. That's going to suck major ass. But where are you sitting right now? Right now, you're sitting in the comfort zone. And that's what we do. We're human beings. I was just there last week, was I not? Right? Making comfortable choices, not being in alignment with what's truly important to me. But do you get what I'm saying? Where you're at is you need to start speaking up on that because sooner or later, the truth is going to come out and you don't want it to come out in indirect ways for too long because then you're not going to be respected. You know what I'm saying? You have to respect what you value or he will not treat you with that respect. You look at his past ex-wife, right? Not his ex-wife, the previous girl. He said that he was trying to take the lead, but she was never following. And for some reason, it just didn't really align or work out. And what it means is I think that woman maybe was really strong in her values. And while he, again, I don't know what the truth is behind that previous situation, but when he turns around and tells you that he wants casual and then you agree to it, are you really the wifey or are you the side chick that he's, spending some time with to act like the pseudo girlfriend that he doesn't have right now? Doesn't that one hit? Because would that girl, if you truly believe that you deserved a relationship, and don't get me wrong, if you were in a position where you wanted casual, then I'd understand. And if you truly were in that position, tell me now. But I can guarantee you most women, 9 out of 10, y'all don't want casual. So when y'all agree to casual, I'm like, you just wrote the contract, sweetheart. Side chick right here, right on the dotted line. Do you want to be my side hoe? Yes, I do, because you're cool. All right, you need some time? Great. I'm going to sign up for side hoe. I'm going to sign up for the girl that's not ever going to actually get the relationship because I'm signing up for something that is not it. Now, I'm not saying that is what you are, and I'm not saying, I did say that, but I'm not saying that it can't be reversed. And the reason I say that is this. The beauty of being a genuine person that shows up for somebody is now you have given him the preview of what it feels like to date you. And, think about it. Every great product, Netflix, they give a free trial. They give a free trial. Look at all the movies I have. And that's essentially what you're doing. When you say, all right, I'm willing to go slow or I'm willing to take it slow for a bit. Here's my free trial. Here's what it feels like to be in a relationship with me. I'm loving, I'm caring. We interlock our hands after we fuck or some shit. Whatever you said. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like good vibes, good energy. I want you to trust the connection is actually strong. But at some point or another, you need to say, all right, free trial's up, bud. Do you want it or do you not? Because if you don't, I'm going to fucking walk. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't need to be that harsh, but what you really need to do, like I said, open and honest communication. Hey, listen, I've realized that, hey, maybe I decided, maybe I was open and casual early on, but I am no longer open to that. I really appreciate this relationship a lot. I really like you a lot. I think you're amazing. I love spending time with you. And it feels like we're moving towards that. But you need to tell me honestly, is this something that you truly are open to? Because if you're not, then tell me now and we'll be okay. And you just got to live with whatever the answer truly is. But to me, that's the only way you get to that place of getting this guy truly to commit to you is you need to have the boundaries that show him that at some point the free trial does end. You need to show him at some point there is a price to my genuine love and appreciation. It's not completely unconditional at the beginning. That's the truth. Dating and relationships, sorry, it's not unconditional in the first year. It's not. It's not. Because to be honest, it's a stranger. You don't know them yet. You're not at that point yet where you can unconditionally love somebody that you've known for 6 months. Cut that shit out. For real. They need to show up and pay a price. For instance, in my coaching, right? Imagine if I was just free. Imagine if it was just free for people to come. First off, no one would take me seriously. The people that come to me wouldn't even care about the advice. But here's the other thing. The people that have come to me and have paid the price and have gotten coaching for years, guess what? I love them deeper and more unconditional than just the price tag. I've had coachees that I worked with for a year that will still reach out to me today for texting advice every once in a while. And do you think I'm going to not give it to them? Of course I am, because I care about them. I care about them deeper than what it was, right? They're not just a transaction to me. But I will be honest, when you first come to me, yeah, guess what? Pay the price. You want to get my time, pay the price. And over time, I'll build that unconditional love with you. I will, because I do care. And I do want to see you're successful. And that's how you got to preface your dating life, is exactly that. There's a price to get in. I might give a free trial. And I'll give the unconditional love later when you have proven to me that you also will show up for me and you are here just as much as I am here, right? It needs to be 50-50 at the beginning. Sorry. Truth. Can't be you doing all the work. And it's okay for him not to be ready. It's okay for him to want to take things slow. And that's what I'm saying. If he communicates to you that he wants to take it slow, but he's open to the relationship, give him more time then. But now at least your feelings are out there. Now you know what's true to you. And now you can really see whether or not this guy steps up or not and wants to do that. And whether you want to step up and speak your truth is up to you. But that is the pathway, and it's the only way. Unless you want to stick in the comfort zone and you want to interlock hands with your situationship. Truth. All right. That's my podcast. I love you guys. If you ever want to work with me, you know where to find me. Yeah, I don't know. All the good things, new websites coming out. That's pretty fucking cool. And if you love the podcast and stuff, rate, subscribe, do all the things, tell your friends about it. Send the podcast to your friends, please. You know what I'm saying? If you really love the information, if you think it could help them out, all of it is appreciated. All right. I love you guys and I will talk to you next week.